what I say is that when I put my application on, when I leave my house to go out there and drive, I always tell myself, money will come second. Money will follow me when I deliver the service. So my goal is always to deliver the service and have the customer appreciate me. Okay? I don't want them to appreciate me out of pity. I don't want the rider or the passenger to appreciate me because I have forced them to appreciate me. I want them to receive my service first, and then they can feel, cornered to appreciate me because my service was so good. And you know the trick that I always use, and this I gave it to another driver the other day, and he has told me that the rate at which he is getting tipped has gone up. When other drivers are forcing customers to tip them or to add them something, and remember, tip is a voluntary thing. You don't force anyone to give you something more or to issue you something extra over and above what the app is showing. They can only do it voluntary in appreciation, not of your hardship, not of your hardships, but in appreciation of the good service you have delivered to them. So for me, what I always do, once I get into the destination, I end the trip, and then I tell the rider or the passenger how much it was. For instance, normally you'll tell them in English or in Swahili. I'll tell them the final trip is 250 shillings, but if you add me something small, I will appreciate. That is always my ending statement. Ananiuliza trip imeonyesha ngapi? Ni 350, but ukiongeza kitu kidogo nita appreciate. How much is it? 570, but if you add me something small, I will appreciate. How much is it? 1,800, but if you add something small, I will appreciate. You say it in a good tone. And let me tell you, every time I spend like 6 hours on the road driving, I go home with more than 400 shillings of tips. So guys, again, welcome to our YouTube channel. And today I want to talk about the people who are always behind the wheel. When you see those cars on the road, there is someone seated behind that wheel, and those are the drivers. I want to talk to Uber drivers, to taxi drivers in general, and I want also to talk about them, because in the recent past weeks, I know there have been discussions that are going around that taxi drivers are, behaving outside the guidelines given by taxi companies. They are going out there and asking for extra money from the customers. And, everybody have their right to speak. And today I'm doing this video so that I can express my feelings and my sentiments towards what a lot of passengers are calling mistreatment from taxi drivers. And, everything that happens has its own genesis. You must understand, where are these drivers coming from? What has led them to do the things they are doing? And, the things they are doing, are they the right things to do at this point in time? So those are some of the things that I want us to discuss in this video. And the title for my video, I have, entitled it, Customer Service is King. Customer service is king. A lot of us who are in business development and are in customer service and customer facing job positions, we understand that no matter what you do, if you don't deliver customer or client satisfaction, you lose that business opportunity in the long term. So what we are going to discuss here, the people at the center of delivering service are drivers. Drivers are the one who are in face-to-face interactions with the drivers, with the passengers. Once the passengers receive driver's service and those passengers are happy, everybody will win. One, the driver will win because that customer could save their number and give them offline jobs, as well as that driver will create loyalty for the company that client had used. if that client had used Bolt or Uber, they will have more confidence to request their next trip using the same application. And then that will increase the frequency of usage of these applications, hence creating more opportunities for everybody in the industry. But having said that, I wanted to make a few remarks about how I think the taxi drivers should behave themselves in Kenya at this point and at this time. We know that the economy is difficult for everyone and even more difficult for others. And we as taxi drivers, we believe that in as much as everybody else is crying about how economy is difficult, we are being made to carry their burden. So if people don't have money to spend, then we are being made to use our business opportunity, to use our investment, that is the car and the fuel that we buy, to carry people at very cheap rates, simply because they cannot afford. I know it is a very difficult compromise, because if we insist that the prices go high, it simply means that at the end of the day, we might not have anybody to carry. Imagine, even with prices of as low as 170 shillings, there are some drivers who are not getting any request from any rider, meaning that there are people who can still not afford 170 shillings. What if that 170 shillings is raised to 300 shillings? How many people are we going to lose? How much will the market become small? So this is what I'm going to advise my Uber drivers. So strike, but be smart. When a strike is called, attend the strike meetings. Okay? Don't betray your colleagues. If there is a meeting that is happening, if Uber drivers have agreed that today we are going to shut down our applications, that we are not going to be on the roads, please don't betray your colleagues. Let's stand in solidarity. In as much as you will not go into the street, because that calls for another level of courage and also experience, just stay at home, turn off your application, let the message be communicated that the taxi drivers were on strike and you contributed to support the movement towards pushing an agenda. The second thing, when there is that strike, definitely don't do illegal stuff, okay? Or when resolutions are made. Like right now, it has been agreed that taxi drivers should charge 1.5 more than what has been indicated. They have made their own price list and they are using the applications to source for customer. But when the customer is inside the car, they come up with their own prices. So according to the guidelines of Uber and Bolt, that might be seen as illegal, and we are going to discuss that in further details. But there are a number of don'ts here, but focus on my point number 5, because I will emphasize on what Uber drivers and taxi drivers should do. Don't beg for pity. Don't beg to be usiombe kuhurumiwa. I have been using Uber of late, just to try and analyze the market. Immediately you get into that taxi, the driver starts to complain, he starts to rant, he starts to tell you that if you don't add me something, it's like I am going to die, because whatever you are going to pay me at the end of this trip definitely does not make sense. Immediately I see that attitude from the driver, not myself, and everybody else I have interacted with. They feel like, what are you telling me? You don't even know that I also have those type of problems. You think you have more problems than I have. In actual sense, you have actually not even delivered me to my final destination. The trip has not even started, and you are begging me to add something small. I mean, that is something, in my view, that does not make sense. So stand firm in your position. Give quality delivery service. Deliver your customer to the final destination. They will see the value, but don't beg for pity. The second one, don't force things. That is point number 4. Don't force things. Okay? If the customer gets into that car, don't be angry to throw out emotions, to force that customer to do something. Don't force, unless that customer intentionally tries to get your car, maybe to litter your car, or to get it dirty, or maybe to have some misbehaviors that are not acceptable to you. Don't force them to do something, okay? Don't force them to pay you extra. Don't force them to meet you at a point. If they don't want to come, well and good, you can get another rider or you can go to where they are. But don't use force because you are dissatisfied with the industry. Because when you do these things that I am calling illegal, in as much as we are putting efforts as a group, we are calling for a collective bargaining action. If you are caught doing any of these things, I'm very sorry to any driver, because your account will be blocked alone. They will not consider blocking everyone who attended the strike or the demonstration or the protest. They will block anyone who is reported by the client for having committed these things. I have seen a lot of drivers coming to me just in the last 2 weeks, crying that their accounts have been blocked. And let me tell you, if your account is blocked, you are as good as a jobless person, because you will not get those, even the cheap trips of 170 shillings, you will not get them. So how am I advocating that taxi drivers should behave themselves? I'm saying that they should be smart CX Pro, meaning that they should be smart customer experience professionals. And this is what has always guided me in the taxi business. And I don't complain because, because it doesn't mean that there are no problems. That's why I don't complain. There are so many problems that I encounter. But what I say is that when I put my application on, when I leave my house to go out there and drive, I always tell myself, money will come second. Money will follow me when I deliver the service. So my goal is always to deliver the service and have the customer appreciate me. Okay? I don't want them to appreciate me out of pity. I don't want the rider or the passenger to appreciate me because I have forced them to appreciate me. I want them to receive my service first, and then they can feel, cornered to appreciate me because my service was so good. And the trick that I always use, and this I gave it to another driver the other day, and he has told me that the rate at which he is getting tipped has gone up. When other drivers are forcing customers to tip them or to add them something, and remember, tip is a voluntary thing. You don't force anyone to give you something more or to issue you something extra over and above what the app is showing. They can only do it voluntarily in appreciation, not of your hardship, not of your hardships, but in appreciation of the good service you have delivered to them. So for me, what I always do, once I get into the destination, I add the trip, and then I tell the rider or the passenger how much it was. For instance, normally you'll tell them in English or in Swahili. I'll tell them the final trip is 250 shillings, but if you add me something small, I will appreciate. That is always my ending statement. Ananiuliza trip imeonyesha ngapi? Ni 350, but ukiongeza kitu kidogo nita appreciate. How much is it? 570, but if you add me something small, I will appreciate. How much is it? 1,800, but if you add something small, I will appreciate. You say it in a good tone. And let me tell you, every time I spend like 6 hours on the road driving, I go home with more than 400 shillings of tips, because I make customers, I push them with good customer service to a point whereby they appreciate me themselves. But let me tell you, I have seen videos of drivers trying even to lock customers inside the car until they give them a tip. It can work for one person, but they will report you. They will pay you so that you can open the door, but they will go and report you to these companies and your account will be locked. So what I'm saying is that even if we are pushing for this collective bargaining agendas, let us also remind ourselves to remain within the legal space, and we also remain like professionals. You don't want to be caught there in front of a camera or someone recording you asking for 20 shilling by force and trying to fight the passenger, and then your video circulates, and then your kids and everyone sees it. No, that one will haunt you for forever. So me, I support whatever drivers are doing. Whenever there is a collective bargaining movement, I will join, I support. But individually, I refuse to do things that I think they are putting my integrity at stake. I will not force anyone to give me extra money. I will invest in delivering quality service, okay, until I am appreciated. And if I'm not appreciated, well and good, I can do something else whereby I feel appreciated. But you cannot force the customer to give you a top rating if they don't feel like so. So guys, everybody knows that we are suffering. Customers in the interview with the Citizen, they said they agree, we are on the same side. Customers are not our enemies. We know our common enemy. So let us fight towards getting that one sorted.